Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me and welcome to a special review for Guns N' Roses keyboardist Dizzy Reed and his second solo album, Rock and Roll Chose Me. It just came out on Friday, August 22nd of 2025. Dizzy being the second longest serving member in the band, only behind Axl Rose. So he's certainly been kicking around a long time, and it's great to get this second solo album from him. I'm going to dive into it here, do a full review and unboxing of it, and we'll get into it in just a bit. But before we start, if you're new to my channel and haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things do help support my channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, there's an added bonus by turning on notifications. You'll never miss an episode and stay up to date on really cool things like this with a review for the brand new Dizzy Reed solo album, Rock and Roll Chose Me. So I want to jump back just a bit, give you a little bit of background on Dizzy Reed. I mean, we all know that he's been part of Guns N' Roses, but before that, he started in a band called The Wild. That was in the 80s. And then, of course, in 1990, he joins Guns N' Roses, and he makes his first appearance with the band on the two Use Your Illusion albums. So he appears on these in 1991. He would also appear on the Spaghetti Incident album in 93. Now, of course, long period until we got some new Guns N' Roses with Chinese Democracy in 2008. And then most recently, they put out the Hard School EP, and then perhaps a single that came out. This is a Japanese edition of it here. But Dizzy has remained, active in the band the whole time since 1990 for 35 years. As I said, the longest serving member, only behind Axl Rose. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2012. But now, outside of Guns N' Roses, he's done quite a bit of stuff. He did Johnny Crash and released an album called Unfinished Business in 2008. He was part of the Dead Daisies on their debut album and then follow-up album Revolution in 2015. He then did Hookers and Blow, which had been a long-term side project that he had been doing, but finally putting out an album of all covers in 2021. He's appeared as a guest on over 30 different albums, at least of the ones that I could count. And he released his debut solo album in 2018 called Rock and Roll Ain't Easy. This has got to be one of the best of all the solo and side projects to come out of Guns N' Roses. I would place this very near the top. That is how good I think this album is. So, of course, that leads us to what we want to talk about, which is Rock and Roll Chose Me, his second solo album. So 10 tracks on this, and it's put out by 50Q Records. Now, so far, they've only released the LP edition of it. That's why I'm holding this up. You guys know I am a CD predominant music listening person. You can see all of them behind me here. I do pick up LPs when that is the only way I can get something. And so far, that is the only way this has been released. I did reach out to the label, and they said at least right now, they don't have any plans to release a CD edition. So if you want physical, you're going to have to buy the LP the way that I did. Also, as of right now, it's not available digitally, although I'm expecting it will be somewhere down the road, but at least right now you can only get it as the LP. What I found to be interesting is that the copyright to the album is 2024, and the band has released 3 singles from it, or when I say band, I'm talking about Dizzy, of course. But the reason I mentioned the 2024 date on it is that the first single came out June 28th of 2024. So I don't know if this album was originally intended to be released in 2024 and what may have transpired to push the album off an entire year, because the second single for this, Falling Down Together, came out June 27th of 2025, followed by Earn It to Burn It, which came out August 1st of 2025, whereas now we finally get the album here on August 22nd in full. So the album as a whole explores some new territory that really wasn't the case on the debut album. The debut album, which much more sort of straight up hard rock, whereas this album here dives into more modern musical territory with this stylized synthesized keyboard sounds that are on it. There's much more layered instrumentation, and so to me this is sort of like Dizzy's version of Chinese Democracy, whereas the debut might be equated more towards something like Appetite for Destruction. So you still have that hard rockin' sound on this, but you get all the more layered modernized sounds added into it. So the three singles that came off of this album that I just mentioned, those are much more of the straight up rock and roll sound like what we were hearing on the debut album. And the other 7 tracks that are part of this have that more experimental sound as part of it. And so initially when I heard the album, I was sort of thrown for a loop on it. I gotta say that after a couple listens though, it really started to grow on me. The variety of sounds that are on it, I like the amount of female backup singer vocals that have been added to this, really kind of fleshing it out. But as opposed to it being more of a, say, 5 band member instrumentation style sound, it's much thicker and deeper with that various layered instrumentation sound that's on it. And so after just the second or third listen on this, I really found myself starting to grow in how it is that I was hearing the album, and I wasn't so shocked by it anymore at that point. 6 of the 10 songs are co-written by Del James, and that name may be most familiar to Guns N' Roses fans, as he was the person who wrote a short story that ultimately inspired the November Rain video. So every time we saw that November Rain video, it would say inspired by the short story. I think it was called Without You by Del James. But Del James also co-wrote 2 of the songs that would appear on the Use Your Illusion albums, Yesterdays and The Garden. So he has been involved with the Guns N' Roses guys beyond just this now. And I was pretty excited to see that he had co-written 6 of the songs that are on here. We also get guest guitar players in Jeff Duncan of Armored Saint and Alex Grossi from Quiet Riot and Hookers and Blow. So Dizzy Reed's fellow bandmate in that side project. Now, beyond those 3 singles that were released for the album, which I think are really good, and they've got really great riffs that are just catchy and stand out, all in all, there's some other really great songs on this that I want to hit on. So track number 3, which is on side 1, Contact, which is co-written by Del James. This one here is a mid-pace rocker, sort of in the vein of the song like Yesterdays. It's a nice change of pace at this point in the album, creating some nice peaks and valleys, and just a really cool listening experience overall. Track number 4, also still side 1, Bombs Away, co-written by Del James and Tommy Stinson. Dizzy Reed's former bandmate, Tommy Stinson from The Replacements, played bass for a long period of time before we had Duff McKagan coming back in. And this one here could very well be a Guns N' Roses throwaway song. I don't know. I just see those 2 guys on it and a former Guns N' Roses band member and kind of wonder. But the swagger and the style of the song, I could easily hear as Axl taking lead on this. So at least that's why my ears perk up when I hear it. And track 6, which is the first track on side 2, Intro Through the Outro, which is much more than just, as it sounds, maybe an intro or an outro style piece, but it's got a really great instrumental lead-in portion before the song takes off. Dizzy takes on lead vocals, and it's a really fantastic way to open the second side of the album, although I think it would have been even better if it had been the album opener track, because it is just that really good of a song and a standout style song at that. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Here we have the front cover of this. I assume we're looking at a picture of a very young Dizzy Reed, but I do think that this is probably a photoshopped cover. I doubt there was an actual photo of him flipping the bird like this, and just kind of the way it looks, it appears as though it might be that. We have the back side of it with a more modern day picture of Dizzy, but I do like the sort of magical, imagery that he's doing, or the wizardry style thing that he's doing as he might be evoking sounds out of the keyboards. And there we get the two different sides of the tracks broken down on it. We then get the sleeve that is in here. That's side B, I'm showing you there, but side A. So you get the lyrics to almost all of them. I did find it was interesting that the song intro through the outro does not have lyrics as part of it, though there are lyrics and vocals to that track. But you get to know who plays on each of the songs and who co-wrote and all that sort of information. And then the version that I have is just black vinyl. But there is limited edition. I want to say it's like orange and white splatter, but I could be wrong. I can't remember. I know there's some colored vinyl. If you head over to 50Q Records, I believe they're the ones that are selling that. But this was just a straight black vinyl version of it that I got from my local record store. Anthony Coviello over at Sound Exchange got it for me. So, bottom line, on this album here, the 3 singles that were released in advance of this album nicely created the setup for the album. But like I said, upon first listen, I was taken aback. I was a little shocked by it because it wasn't that straight up rock album like his debut album was. But it very quickly grew on me with the second and third listen. It didn't take a long time. I did not have to force myself into it. Those different style sounds and things warmed up very quickly, and do fit in well with the style of songs that Dizzy has written for this album. So much so, in fact, that I really want a CD edition of this album. I hope that we ultimately get it, but I am glad that we're at least getting an LP edition of it. It's not a digital only release. I really hate it when that happens. So we did get physical edition, and I pray that one day we get a CD edition of it. Basically anything that Dizzy puts out, I always think is good. No exception to the rule. It's always top notch. And so long live Dizzy Reed, and long live Guns N' Roses. May you both put out much more material in the future. Let's hope so. Keep our fingers crossed. But obviously in the meantime, we've got lots and lots of stuff to enjoy right here with this album. Rock and Roll Chose Me, out on 50Q Records. So there you go. That's my review. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've picked up this album and or listened to those 3 songs that have already been released, they are available to stream. That's available to stream even though the full album is not yet. Weigh in. Let me know your thoughts. I'd be curious to know what you think of those 3 songs and or the album. If it's a similar take to what I have, or if I've got a unique take on it. Who knows? All right, everyone. Take care, have a good one, and I'll talk to you real soon.